Hello engineers, welcome back.
Here we will discuss about main bearing renewal. The engine I am showing is 6G50 MEC engine. First, remove the bearing wear monitoring proximity sensor. Take the adjacent unit crankshaft position to exhaust side for easy working on the particular main bearing. Remove the lubricating oil supply pipe. Then mount the extension studs on the four main bearing bolts. Then mount the lifting tool on the main bearing cap. Then connect a chain block near stuffing box which I shown in the figure and connect this chain blocks to the lifting tool. Then mount the spacers, hydraulic jacks and nuts on the extension studs of main bearing on both sides. Then fully tighten the nuts on the extension studs and loosen the nuts by half a turn. Then connect the hydraulic hoses and increase the pressure to 1500 bar opening pressure. Then loosen the main bearing stud nuts, 4 nuts on both sides. Then remove the hydraulic pressure. Then remove the hydraulic main bearing tools such as extension studs, spacers, hydraulic jacks and nuts. Unscrew and remove the all 4 nuts from the main bearing studs. Then attach the wire rope from lifting tool to this chain block and lift the main bearing cap free from the studs using this chain block. Once main bearing cap is freed from the studs, attach one more chain block from the exhaust side and pull the main bearing caps towards the exhaust side and keep it on the crankshaft webs. Remove the upper main bearing shell. Remove the locating screws on both sides of the bearing.
Then move this cross piece or crankshaft lifting tool to the bed plate. Position this cross piece and hydraulic jacks beneath the crank web as shown. Tighten the screws against the crank web and compress the jacks. Then connect the hydraulic hoses. Place a dial gauge to monitor the crankshaft lift. Raise the pressure and lift the crankshaft about 0.2 to 0.5 mm but not higher than the clearance into adjacent bearing, and make a note of the pressure. Place this dismantling tool on top of the lower bearing shell and connect the chain blocks and pull the bearing out. Remember that don't give extra pressure to bearing because the bearing should come out easily when there is enough lift of crankshaft. Use this bearing lifting tool and remove the lower shell bearing out of the engine. Here important note is that never lower the pressure. Replace the lower main bearing shell as soon as possible after the inspection. This is the impression of telescopic feeler cage on upper shell. This indicates the even distribution of load on lower bearing shell. After inspection, lift the lower bearing shell using bearing lifting tool and place it on the main bearing journal. Remove the bearing lifting tool. Here, MAN B&W technician doesn't use the guide tool for lower bearing shell, but in manual it is given. I recommend you to use it. Then apply some oil on the journal and push the lower bearing shell down by hand. To ensure the shell is correctly installed, check the distance from the main bearing support to shells in both sides are equal. Then mount the locating screws on both sides of bearing support. Then release the pressure and lower the crankshaft and remove the hydraulic jacks and crosspiece from the crankshaft. Apply some oil on the journal, then land the upper bearing shell on the main journal using bearing lifting tool. Make sure that none of the edges on the upper bearing shell are resting on the edges of bearing support as shown. If necessary, press the shell into place by using special tool. Then slowly move the bearing cap from the crankshaft to the position by using the chain blocks as we done before. Clean the contact surface between the bearing support and the bearing cap. Make sure that no oil is left on the contact surface.
Be sure that cap lands correctly and that spring pin as shown in figure in the assembly surface enters the hole in the bearing cap. Then tighten all the 4 main bearing nuts on the both sides. Then mount the extension studs on 4 main bearing studs. Then mount the spacers, hydraulic jacks and nuts on the extension studs. Then connect the hydraulic hose. Then tighten the nuts on the extension studs. Tight the main bearing nuts in 2 steps. First, raise the pressure to 100 bar and tighten the nuts. Then lower the pressure, tighten the hydraulic jacks and then increase the pressure to 1500 bar for tightening the main bearing nuts. Once tightening is finished, remove all the tools from the crankcase. Thank you engineers for watching. Support me.